Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that wealth is not out there, waiting for you to chase it. Imagine it is already around you like air. Invisible. Abundant. Endless. But here's the truth, most people live as if wealth is scarce. They fight for it. They beg for it. They believe it belongs to someone else. Florence Scovel Shinn, the great metaphysical teacher, gave us a simple but life-changing truth. Your words create your world. Not your degrees. Not your background. Not even your current bank account. Your words. And she revealed 3 words that carry the power to unlock infinite wealth. Before I tell you those words, let me ask you. Have you ever noticed how 2 people can start in the same place, yet end up in completely different worlds? One struggles, complains, and always seems stuck. The other rises, attracts opportunities, and money flows to them like a river. What's the difference? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's alignment. Wealth responds to the vibration of our words. Say the wrong words, you push wealth away. Say the right words, you pull it closer. Now, here's where the suspense ends. The 3 words are, I am rich. Simple. But don't confuse simple with powerless. Say it with me. I am rich. Notice how your body reacts. Some of you felt a spark. Others felt resistance. Maybe a voice in your head said, but I'm not rich, not yet. That voice is the reason you need this affirmation. Florence taught that your words are like seeds. When you declare I am rich, you are not lying, you are planting. The soil doesn't argue with the seed. It simply produces. Think of an apple seed. You plant it, water it, and wait. It doesn't look like an apple tree in the beginning. But in time, it grows. Wealth works the same way. When you say I am rich, you are watering the seed of abundance. The universe begins to rearrange itself to match your declaration. Let me give you a real-life example. I once met a young man who grew up in poverty. He had no connections, no resources, no clear way out. But every morning, before leaving his small apartment, he stood in front of the mirror and said, I am rich. Opportunities chase me. Money flows to me. At first, nothing changed. But slowly, doors opened. He found better jobs. He started a small business. And today, he owns multiple companies. Did the words alone make him wealthy? No. But they shifted his mindset. They gave him confidence. They aligned his actions with his destiny. Ask yourself, what happens when you start saying I am rich every day? Your posture changes. Your energy changes. People notice. Opportunities notice. Wealth notices. You stop chasing money. And money starts chasing you. So, I invite you. Speak these 3 words with faith. Say them not as a wish, but as a declaration. Say them when you wake up. Say them when fear creeps in. Say them until your outer world catches up with your inner truth. Remember, wealth is not something you chase. It is something you declare. It is something you embody. It is something you become. So let's speak it one last time, together, stronger, bolder, louder. I am rich. And watch how life begins to prove you right. Following are the key points that you will listen in this video. Wealth is abundant and always available. Like air, your words determine how much of it you experience. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words shape reality more than circumstances or background. The 3 powerful words are, I am rich. Speaking these words is not lying, it is planting a seed that will grow in time. Affirmations shift your mindset, energy, and actions, attracting opportunities and wealth. Wealth doesn't come from chasing, it comes from declaring and embodying abundance. Wealth is abundant and always available. Like air, your words determine how much of it you experience. Most people don't really believe that. They think wealth is some hidden treasure locked in a vault somewhere, guarded by a select few who have the keys. They imagine there's only so much to go around, that if one person gets more, another person must get less. But wealth does not work like that. It's not a pie you cut into slices. It's more like the sun radiating endlessly, never diminished by how much anyone receives. You can stand outside and soak up its light, and the person next to you can do the same, without your share being reduced by even one ray. Think about air. Have you ever worried that if you take a deep breath, you're stealing oxygen from someone else? Of course not. You breathe without hesitation, without guilt, without fear that there won't be enough left for you. Yet when it comes to money, opportunities, and abundance, people suddenly start gasping like they're competing for limited air. They tell themselves stories like, "I'll never get ahead," or "I wasn't born into wealth, so it's not for me." They whisper words of scarcity without realizing those words shape the very reality they fear. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "Your word is your wand." Imagine holding a magic wand in your hand, one that could summon whatever you needed: love, health, prosperity. Would you wave it carelessly, muttering curses under your breath, or would you wield it carefully, speaking only what you desire? Yet that is exactly what most people do with their words. They say, "I'm broke," and wonder why money slips away. They declare, "I can't afford that," and the universe agrees. Words are seeds, and the soil of life is always listening, always responding. I knew a woman once who worked tirelessly at a job she disliked. Every day, she'd sigh and say, "I'm so tired of being broke. Nothing ever works out for me." She said it so often that it became her truth. When an opportunity came her way, she didn't see it as a chance, she saw it as another burden. Her words had programmed her vision. Then one day, in a workshop about affirmations, she was challenged to replace her daily statement. Instead of saying, "I'm tired of being broke," she began saying, "I live in abundance. Every day, money flows to me in new and unexpected ways." At first, she didn't believe it. It felt silly, even dishonest. But she kept going. Weeks passed, and something curious happened. Her energy shifted. She walked taller, smiled more, and people around her noticed. Soon after, she was offered a new position, with a salary increase she hadn't imagined possible. Did the words magically print dollar bills? No. But they shifted her vibration, and that vibration drew wealth into her life. It's not just about money. Think about relationships. Imagine someone who constantly says, "Nobody ever loves me. People always leave me." Their words create a lens through which they view the world. Even if someone comes into their life with love, their mind, shaped by their own declarations, will doubt it, sabotage it, or push it away. Wealth works the same way. If you keep saying, "There's never enough," even when more arrives, you won't see it, you won't appreciate it, and soon you'll lose it. Picture two farmers with identical land. One says, "This soil is dead. Nothing will grow here." He throws a few seeds carelessly, barely waters them, and then shrugs when nothing happens. The other farmer says, "This land is rich. Whatever I plant here will multiply." He plants with care, waters faithfully, and waits with expectation. Both began with the same earth, but only one believed in abundance. Which one do you think harvests more? That's how it is with wealth. It's not about luck. It's about the soil of your words. When you declare richness, when you speak as though abundance already surrounds you, you are watering your ground. The crops may not appear overnight, but trust, life is faithful. Your harvest will come. Even science echoes this truth. Psychologists call it the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say, "I'm terrible with money," you unconsciously act in ways that confirm it. You spend recklessly, avoid learning about finances, and ignore opportunities. But if you say, "I manage money wisely and money grows in my hands," you begin to act differently. You notice new chances. You handle resources with more care. The shift is subtle but powerful. I remember hearing a story of a man who, during the Great Depression, lost everything. While many around him said, "Times are hard, nothing can be done," he chose to say, "Opportunities are everywhere. I am rich in ideas." He spoke those words daily. Out of that declaration, he started a small service business helping struggling families repair their homes at low cost. People trusted him, work spread, and within a few years, he had built a thriving company while others remained in despair. His wealth was not born from circumstances, it was born from words that shaped his perspective. So when you hear wealth is like air, don't just nod and move on. Really feel it. Step outside right now, take a breath, and remind yourself, this same abundance exists in money, love, health, and opportunity. It does not run out. It cannot run out. The only limitation is the words you choose to breathe into existence. When you say, I am rich, you are inhaling abundance, allowing it to flow freely instead of choking it off with phrases of fear and lack. And maybe you're thinking, but isn't that unrealistic? What if I'm drowning in debt, or struggling to pay rent? How can I say I'm rich when my bank account proves otherwise? That's the trick of the old mindset. It says, I'll believe it when I see it. But Shinn reminds us, you'll see it when you believe it. Just as you trust the air will be there when you take your next breath, you must trust wealth is present even when you can't see it yet. The most dangerous words you can speak are words of scarcity. The most powerful words you can speak are words of abundance. And every time you open your mouth, you're choosing which world you will live in. If you want proof, just look around. Who do you know that constantly complains about money? Are they wealthy? Now think of those who often speak with gratitude, who talk about opportunities instead of obstacles. Don't they seem to attract more? It's not magic. It's alignment. The universe is not stingy, it's generous beyond measure. But it echoes back whatever you send out. If your echo is not enough, it multiplies that. If your echo is I am rich, it multiplies that. So your choice, your words, your declaration determine how much of the infinite abundance you actually breathe in. There's a man I once met who grew up in a neighborhood where everyone believed money was impossible to find. You could almost feel it in the air. Conversations were heavy with phrases like, life is hard, and we'll never get out of this place. He absorbed those words without question. He said them himself. I'll never be rich, he used to mutter under his breath, almost like a prayer, but a prayer of scarcity. And life agreed. Every job he took seemed to collapse. Every opportunity slipped through his fingers. One day, a mentor asked him a question that stopped him cold. If words are seeds, why do you keep planting weeds? That hit him like lightning. For the first time, he began to experiment with different words. Instead of saying, I'll never get ahead, he began to whisper, I am rich. Not just once, but daily. His friends laughed. His family shook their heads. But something shifted inside him. He walked taller. He carried himself differently. He started noticing chances he'd never seen before. Within 5 years, this same man, once buried in hopelessness, was running his own business. What changed? Not his background. Not the economy. His words. He finally stopped choking on scarcity and started breathing in abundance. Now let me take you to a completely different setting, a classroom filled with teenagers. A teacher decided to test something. She gave half the class a powerful affirmation, you are intelligent, capable, and destined for success. She asked them to repeat it every morning for 30 days. The other half carried on as usual, no affirmations, no words of power. By the end of the month, a subtle transformation had occurred. The students who spoke those affirmations didn't suddenly become geniuses overnight, but they began approaching problems with more confidence. Their test scores improved. They volunteered answers more often. They stopped saying, I'm dumb at math, or I can't do this. The words they spoke shaped the reality they stepped into. And here's the beautiful part. Years later, many of those same students went on to college and thriving careers, while others who never shifted their language remained stuck. If wealth is like air, these students had learned to breathe deeply, while the others kept holding their breath. And then there's the story of a woman I'll never forget. She had lost her job, her savings, and nearly her hope. She used to sit at her kitchen table late at night, staring at unpaid bills, whispering over and over, I can't do this, I'm drowning. The more she said it, the heavier the burden became. One evening, she came across Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching, Your word is your wand. Something stirred inside her. She thought, if my words are creating this prison, maybe they can also create my escape. She decided, right there in that dimly lit kitchen, to change her chant. Instead of I'm drowning, she began saying, I am rich. Money flows to me in unexpected ways. She said it through tears, barely believing it at first. But she said it anyway. Days later, she received a call from a friend about a small freelance job. It wasn't much, but it was something. That job led to another, then to a full-time opportunity. A year later, she looked back at those nights of despair and realized her words had been the turning point. She had finally inhaled abundance instead of exhaling defeat. So you see, whether it's the man who rose from hopelessness, the students who discovered their hidden brilliance, or the woman who turned her life around at a kitchen table, the truth remains the same. Wealth is abundant, always present, like air itself. It does not vanish. It does not run out. The only thing that changes is the way we breathe it in. And the breath we choose is our words. Wealth is abundant, like air. It's always here, always available, always present. Yet most people live as though it's scarce, as though they must fight, beg, or chase it. That's why I want to share 3 stories with you. Stories of ordinary people who discovered that the air of abundance was all around them, and that their words were either suffocating them or helping them breathe freely. The first story is about a man I once met. He grew up in a neighborhood where everyone spoke the language of lack. You could almost hear it in the air, conversations heavy with phrases like, "Life is hard, and we'll never get out of this place." Those words became the soundtrack of his life. He said them himself, without even realizing their power. "I'll never be rich," he would mutter under his breath, almost like a prayer, but it was a prayer of defeat. And life, being the faithful echo that it is, agreed with him. Every job he tried collapsed. Every opportunity slipped through his hands. One day, he sat down with a mentor who asked him a question that pierced him like lightning. "If words are seeds, why do you keep planting weeds?" He had never thought of it like that. Words as seeds. His own voice as the gardener of his life. The idea unsettled him, but it also gave him hope. He began to experiment. Instead of repeating, "I'll never get ahead," he started whispering 3 words, "I am rich." Just 3 words. At first, they felt strange, even false. His friends laughed when they heard him. His family rolled their eyes. But something shifted inside him. He walked taller. He carried himself with more confidence. And soon, he noticed doors opening, small opportunities, part-time gigs, side hustles. Within 5 years, this same man, once buried in hopelessness, was running his own business. Not because his circumstances magically changed overnight, but because his words changed first. He stopped suffocating on scarcity. He started breathing abundance. The second story comes from a very different world, a classroom filled with restless teenagers. A teacher, curious about the power of affirmations, decided to run an experiment. She split the class into 2 groups. To one group she gave a simple assignment. Every morning, repeat these words: "I am intelligent, I am capable, I am destined for success." The other half of the class received no assignment, no affirmations, nothing. At first, the students rolled their eyes. Some mumbled the words half-heartedly. Others whispered them under their breath as if it were a silly game. But something began to shift. Slowly, the students who repeated the words daily started raising their hands more. Their confidence grew. Their test scores ticked upward. They stopped saying things like, "I'm bad at math," or "I'll never understand this," and started speaking with possibility. By the end of the school year, the difference was clear. The affirmation group didn't just perform better academically, they carried themselves differently. Years later, many of them went on to college and built thriving careers. The others, who never shifted their words, remained stuck in the same cycles. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was language. The students who spoke affirmations breathed deeply from the air of abundance, while the others continued holding their breath. And then there's the third story, one that always touches me deeply. A woman sat alone at her kitchen table one night, staring at a stack of unpaid bills. The room was dimly lit, the silence heavy. With every exhale, she muttered, "I can't do this. I'm drowning." Those words weren't just sounds, they were shackles. The more she repeated them, the heavier her burden grew. One night, weary and desperate, she stumbled upon Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching, "Your word is your wand." She paused. Her word. Her wand. Could her words really create a different reality? She decided, in that moment, to try. Instead of repeating "I'm drowning," she forced herself to say, through tears, "I am rich. Money flows to me in unexpected ways." The words felt like stones in her mouth at first. They didn't match her reality. But she kept saying them anyway. Days later, she received a call from a friend offering her a small freelance project. It wasn't much, but it was something. That job led to another, then another, until opportunities began arriving one after another. Within a year, she had rebuilt her financial life. Looking back, she realized the turning point wasn't the first job or even the second. It was that moment at her kitchen table, when she traded words of defeat for words of power. That was the night she stopped exhaling scarcity and started inhaling abundance. 3 different lives. 3 different circumstances. But the same truth: wealth is abundant like air. Always here, always available. It doesn't run out. It doesn't disappear. The only difference is how much of it we allow ourselves to breathe. And the way we breathe is through our words. Think about it. When you say, "I can't afford this," you choke off possibility. When you declare, "I am rich," you open yourself to new currents of opportunity. Just as air rushes to fill your lungs when you inhale, abundance rushes to fill your life when you declare it. You don't question whether the next breath of air will be there, you simply breathe. What if you treated wealth the same way? What if you trusted it to be as abundant as the air around you? The man who rose from hopelessness, the students who discovered their brilliance, the woman who rebuilt her life, none of them created wealth by accident. They aligned their words with abundance. They learned to breathe deeply, and once they did, life proved them right. When you say the words "I am rich," you're not lying. You're planting. And like any seed, it takes time. That's the part most people don't understand. They think if their reality doesn't change tomorrow, the words don't work. But no farmer plants a seed in the ground and then stands there tapping his foot, demanding a tree the next morning. He knows there's a process. He knows unseen roots must grow before branches appear. Imagine holding an apple seed in your hand. Tiny. Almost invisible. If you judged it by appearance, you'd laugh at the idea that it could one day produce hundreds of apples. Yet hidden inside that little shell is a forest. And all it needs is planting, watering, time, and belief. That's exactly what happens when you declare, "I am rich." You're placing a seed of abundance in the soil of your life. But here's the problem: most people uproot their seeds before they ever sprout. They say, "I am rich," on Monday morning, and by Tuesday evening, when nothing has changed, they dig it up and say, "See? It doesn't work." Imagine a farmer planting corn in the soil, then 2 days later ripping it out to check if it's growing. Over and over. What harvest would he ever see? None. Yet people do this with their words every day. Florence Scovel Shinn reminded us, words are creative power. When you speak them, they begin shaping the invisible before you see the visible. But just like seeds, they require consistency, patience, and trust in the process. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who longed for success. She worked hard, but nothing seemed to move. Every time she looked at her circumstances, she grew frustrated. Still, she decided to follow Florence's teaching. Every morning she stood in front of her mirror and said, "I am rich. I am surrounded by abundance." At first, she felt silly. Her bank account was nearly empty. Her bills were overdue. Her reality mocked her words. But she kept planting. Weeks turned into months. Still, she watered her affirmations. Then one day, she met someone at a networking event who connected her to a business partner. That partnership opened doors she had never dreamed of. Within 2 years, she had created financial stability and, more importantly, peace of mind. When she looked back, she realized it wasn't just the actions she took. It was the inner seed that her words planted. They gave her courage, confidence, and a magnetic energy that drew opportunities. Now let's compare her to someone else, a man who tried affirmations once. He stood in front of the mirror, said "I am rich" 3 times, and then stopped. The next day, he looked at his empty wallet and muttered, "This is stupid. Nothing's changing." He uprooted the seed before it could grow. He declared failure before life had a chance to deliver the harvest. And so, he stayed stuck. You see, planting requires faith. You don't dig up the seed every day to make sure it's working. You trust that the soil knows what to do. You water it with consistency. You shield it from weeds. Your words are no different. When you say, I am rich, you're not pretending, it's not make-believe. You're creating. You're aligning. You're sowing the vibration of abundance, and then trusting life to grow it in the right time. Think of bamboo. When bamboo is planted, nothing seems to happen for years. For 4 years, you water, you wait, you see almost nothing. But in the 5th year, it shoots up, sometimes over 80 feet tall in a matter of weeks. Did it suddenly grow overnight? No. It was growing all along underground, in secret, where no one could see. That's exactly what happens when you speak words of wealth. The roots of abundance stretch wide, preparing to support the harvest. And then, one day, seemingly out of nowhere, the breakthrough comes. But here's the catch, you have to protect the seed. Negative words are weeds. Every time you say, I can't do this, or I'll always be broke, you're pouring poison on the soil. Just as a farmer pulls weeds to protect his crops, you must pull the weeds of doubt from your speech. Protect your declaration as though it were fragile and precious, because it is. There's a famous saying, don't judge the seed by the season. When you speak wealth over your life, your season might still look barren. But the seed is alive. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it isn't working. The most important growth happens in the unseen. Let me give you one more picture. Imagine standing in a pitch-black room, holding a match. You strike it, and suddenly the whole room glows with light. Before that flame, the darkness seemed endless. That's what happens when you speak words of abundance. The match is tiny, but it changes everything. You may think your affirmation is small, powerless against your circumstances, but like that flame, it begins to shift the atmosphere around you. Florence Scovel Shinn used to say that words spoken with faith have the power to command the invisible supply. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about declaring a higher truth until your outer world catches up. The seed doesn't look like the tree, but it contains the tree. Your words don't look like wealth, but they contain wealth. So when you say, I am rich, don't let your eyes deceive you. Don't let today's reality trick you into pulling up tomorrow's harvest. Remember the apple seed. Remember the bamboo. Remember the woman at the mirror. You are not lying, you are planting. And life, faithful as the soil itself, will always produce what you plant. Have you ever noticed what happens to your body when you change just a single thought? Think about it. When you say to yourself, I can't do this, your shoulders drop, your energy sinks, and you feel weaker before you even begin. But when you say, I've got this, I can do it, suddenly your chest expands, your back straightens, and something inside you rises up. That's the power of words. They don't just float into the air, they settle inside you. They shift your energy. They change how you walk, how you speak, how you act. Affirmations aren't just feel-good phrases. They are energy shifters. They're like tuning forks that change the frequency of your entire being. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your words align you with the vibration of what you desire. And when your vibration changes, your world changes. Let me tell you a story. A young man once came to me, exhausted. He had been job hunting for months with no success. Every interview ended with rejection. I'm just not lucky, he told me. I guess I'm not the kind of person people want to hire. Can you hear it? His affirmation was already at work, but it was a negative one. I'm not the kind of person people want. And so he carried that energy into every interview. His body language sagged. His words lacked conviction. His eyes carried doubt. I asked him to try something radical. Every morning, before he even left his house, he was to look in the mirror and say, I am valuable. Employers are blessed to have me. I attract opportunities that match my worth. At first, he laughed. That's not me, he said. But I reminded him, the old words hadn't helped him. Why not try new ones? 2 weeks later, he walked into another interview. This time, his words had already shifted his energy. He shook hands firmly. He spoke with confidence. He radiated value. And guess what? He got the job. The same man, the same skills, the same world, only different words. Different energy. different outcome. Affirmations do this because they bypass the fear-driven voice in your head and reprogram your subconscious. They tell your inner self a new story, and your actions begin to match that story. If you keep saying, "I can't," you don't even try. But if you say, "I can, I will, I am," suddenly you attempt things you once avoided. You walk into rooms you once feared. You talk to people you once avoided. That's not luck, that's alignment. Think of it like a radio. You could have the best station playing your favorite song, but if you're tuned to the wrong frequency, all you'll hear is static. Wealth, opportunity, success, they're always broadcasting, always available. But if your inner frequency is tuned to "I'm broke," or "I'm not good enough," then all you get is static. Affirmations are how you turn the dial. You shift the frequency. You align yourself with the broadcast of abundance. Another story. A woman I knew wanted to start her own business, but fear gripped her. She said over and over, "I'm not a leader. I'm not smart enough to run a company." Her energy confirmed her words: hesitant, timid, invisible. I encouraged her to start declaring, "I am a powerful creator. I am wise enough, strong enough, bold enough." At first, she whispered them. But slowly, her voice grew stronger. Weeks later, she walked into a networking event, and people noticed something different. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't small. She was radiant. Soon after, someone approached her with a partnership offer. Her affirmations had shifted her energy, and her energy attracted the right people. You see, people don't respond to your words alone, they respond to the energy behind them. You could walk into a room and say, "I'm confident," but if your energy is trembling with doubt, others won't believe it. But if you've spoken that affirmation enough, if you've let it settle into your bones, then your energy carries it naturally. And when your energy changes, opportunities notice. People notice. Wealth notices. Science even backs this up. Neuroscientists talk about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. Every thought is a pathway. The more you repeat a thought, the deeper the path becomes. Negative words carve deep valleys of fear. Positive affirmations carve pathways of possibility. And as your brain rewires, your actions change, your habits shift, and your life follows. Think of it like walking through a field of tall grass. If you always walk the same path, the grass lies flat, and that becomes the easy way. But if you decide to make a new path, at first it's tough. The grass is high, it resists you. That's what affirmations feel like in the beginning: unnatural, awkward. But keep walking. Keep repeating. Soon that new path becomes clear, easy, natural. That's how affirmations shift your mindset. They create a new default path. And when your default is abundance, your actions line up with it. You take bold steps. You trust yourself. You stop hiding. And those actions create results. Florence once said, "Your word is your wand." Imagine holding that wand in your hand. You wave it and say, "I am rich." Suddenly your energy shifts. You feel taller. You walk into the world with a glow. And people respond to that glow. They offer you opportunities. They see your value. They want to work with you. Not because magic money fell from the sky, but because your affirmation shifted your energy, and your energy drew wealth to you like a magnet. So I ask you, what happens if you start every day declaring, "I am abundant. I am confident. I am rich in ideas, rich in love, rich in opportunities"? What rooms would you walk into? What people would you meet? What actions would you finally take? Affirmations are not empty words. They are keys that unlock a new frequency. They are the breath that shifts your energy. They are the seed that grows into action. And action, aligned with the right energy, attracts the wealth that has been waiting for you all along. Most people spend their lives running after wealth. They chase it the way a child chases butterflies in a field, arms flailing, eyes desperate, but never quite catching one. They run harder, work longer, push themselves deeper into exhaustion, believing that one day, if they just keep chasing, money will finally turn around and notice them. But Florence Scovel Shinn taught something far more radical, something that flips the whole game on its head. Wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you declare. Picture this. Imagine a magnet. One small, simple magnet. It doesn't run around the table, chasing the paper clips. It doesn't beg them to come closer. It doesn't stress itself, panting, sweating, exhausted. No, the paper clips simply move toward it. Why? Because the magnet already is. It already embodies the quality that attracts. That's you. That's the secret. When you embody abundance, when you declare it boldly, money doesn't need to be chased. It moves toward you naturally, like metal to a magnet. Think about people you know who seem to always get lucky. A job lands in their lap. Someone offers them an investment. They stumble into the right connections. To the outside world, it looks like chance. But it isn't chance. It's alignment. These people aren't running after wealth, they're standing still, rooted in the declaration that abundance is theirs. And so it finds them. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a woman who desperately wanted financial freedom. She worked 3 jobs, slept only 4 hours a night, and still never had enough. She thought, if I work harder, maybe I'll get ahead. But the harder she worked, the more drained she became. One evening, she stumbled across Florence's writings. She read the words, "You do not need to run after success. Declare it. Speak it. Know it is yours." At first, she thought it was foolish. How could saying words make a difference? But she tried. Every morning, instead of saying, "I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm behind," she began saying, "I live in abundance. I am a magnet for wealth. Money flows easily to me." Something remarkable happened. She didn't suddenly win the lottery. But her energy shifted. She walked into her jobs with a new lightness. She smiled more. She carried herself with calm confidence instead of desperation. And within months, she was offered a promotion she hadn't even applied for. Then a friend invited her into a business partnership that turned profitable within a year. Wealth didn't come because she chased it. Wealth came because she embodied abundance, and abundance responded. This is the difference between chasing and declaring. Chasing says, "I don't have it yet, but maybe one day I will." Declaring says, "It's already mine, and I live as though it is true." Do you feel the difference? One carries desperation. The other carries certainty. And the universe always responds to certainty. It's the same in everyday life. Think about relationships. If someone runs after you desperately, begging for attention, do you feel drawn to them? Or do you pull away? But if someone knows their worth, if they carry themselves with confidence, if they declare through their energy, "I am enough," suddenly people are drawn to them without effort. Wealth works the same way. Florence often spoke of the law of non-resistance. The harder you push, the more things resist. But when you relax into faith, when you declare abundance and allow it, doors open without force. It's like trying to catch water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. But if you relax and open your palm, it rests there easily. I want you to imagine right now what it would feel like to stop chasing. To stop running. To stop living in the exhausting story of someday, "If I work hard enough, I'll finally get there." What if you stood still, right now, and said, "Wealth is mine. Abundance surrounds me. Opportunities are finding me even now." Can you feel how different that energy is? Another story. A man once told me about his dream of being an artist. He loved painting, but he never believed he could make money from it. So he chased wealth in other ways, selling products he didn't care about, working jobs that drained him. And still, money eluded him. Then one day, he decided to stop chasing. Instead, he declared, "I am a successful artist. My gift creates abundance." And he began to embody that declaration. He painted every day. He shared his work boldly. Within a year, he had commissions from people who believed in his talent. He didn't chase money. He lived in his abundance. And money came to him. The shift is not outside, it's inside. When you declare abundance, you walk differently. You speak differently. You negotiate differently. You dream differently. You stop saying, "I can't afford this," and start asking, "How can I align with this?" You stop saying, "Maybe someday," and start living as though today is already rich. That shift in energy pulls opportunities out of the invisible and into the visible. Florence said, "Man must prepare for the thing he asked for, when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight." That's what declaring abundance means. You prepare as if it's already yours. You act as if the door has already opened. And in doing so, you invite wealth to step into your life. So I ask you, what are you declaring today? Are you declaring lack, by constantly saying, "I don't have enough"? Are you declaring struggle, by saying, "I'm always broke"? Or will you declare abundance, right here, right now, by speaking, "I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am a magnet for prosperity"? Remember, wealth doesn't respond to chasing. It responds to embodiment. It responds to the energy of someone who already knows who they are. Just like a king doesn't beg for his crown, and a queen doesn't plead for her throne, you don't need to chase what is already yours. You simply declare it. And when you declare it long enough, with enough faith, the world will bend to match your words. So tonight, I want you to stop running. Stop chasing. Stop begging. And instead, stand still. Stand tall. Stand certain. Wealth is not out there, waiting for you to finally catch it. It is here. It is now. It is waiting for you to declare it. Say the words. Live the words. Embody the words. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am a magnet for prosperity. Let those words echo in your mind when you wake. Let them carry you through the day. Let them guide your steps at night. Because the truth is this: wealth does not come to those who chase it with desperation. It comes to those who claim it with certainty. It comes to those who prepare for it, speak it, believe it, and walk in it long before they see it. So, the question is no longer when will abundance come. The question is, when will you declare it? And if not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not you, then who? Remember this. Carry it with you. Wealth is not something you run after. Wealth is something you wake up as. And when you finally declare it, fully, boldly, fearlessly, the universe will rise to meet your words. So go ahead. Stand in your power. Speak your abundance. Unlock your infinite wealth. Because the 3 words that will change everything are already on your lips. I am rich.